Hey, Servant Church, you guys are amazing, and you do amazing work week in and week out. This week, let's chat a little bit about your guest experience. What happens when a guest comes to your church? Why does it even matter when a guest comes to your church? I mean, we would all argue that it matters because, well, people matter, and you'll hear me say that all the time, that people matter. Regardless of whether or not they're going to stay in your church or not, they still matter. So visiting a church, I don't know when the last time was that you visited a church, but it's kind of an awkward experience for the visitor. And when people are in that scenario, when they're a visitor, their mind is racing. And it's almost like a high-stress situation to visit a new church. And when you're in a high-stress situation, your vision actually gets more narrow, and you have like blinders on, and you only see in front of you. So when people have their blinders on, the first thing that we want to think about is signage. We all talk about the signage that we have in our church, waypoint findings, to help people find their way around. But I have my blinders on. I can't see all those signs. I'm not even taking all that in. There's so much new going on here and so much that I'm trying to take in that I don't even notice the signs if I'm your visitor. So the best laid signs don't work all the time. And I know that's frustrating. I know that's very frustrating because we work hard on trying to make things clear and obvious, but then we get frustrated like, I had signs, why couldn't people figure this out? Well, that's why. They've got these blinders on. They only see right here, right in front of them, and they don't see all those signs that you've placed for them. How do we solve this problem? Well, the number one thing a visitor really needs is to feel connected. Let that sink in for a minute. The number one thing they need is to feel connected. How in the world do we do this? We don't even know who they are. So in my experience, the way we do this is we start right at the front door. When you have regular people at the front door, they can quickly identify who they haven't noticed before. And they give them a warm greeting. Now, you warmly greet everybody at the front door because you want everybody, regulars and new people, to all feel welcomed at church. There's no reason why somebody should feel like they don't belong or aren't welcomed. It's important to welcome everyone. But right away, let's make sure we're not just letting new people get by that front door without getting a warm greeting. The next step is, once they get past the front door, there should be a second stage of people to intercept them. 2 people is enough. Have 2 people just beyond the front doors. And that job right there is, it allows the flow to keep going through the front door, even though they got warmly greeted, and not have a blockade there. But now that next step is almost to create an offside blockade. To let regulars flow through, you're still welcoming them at that second stage too. You're saying, hey, good morning, welcome. You're involved in conversation a little bit there, but the key thing there is you're watching for anyone new. And if anyone new is coming through those front doors, whatever conversation you're in can abruptly stop for a moment while you grab that person. They're not allowed to walk by you at that stage. The reason why, if they get by you at this stage, now they're in the sea of your church. They're in the hallways, they're in the lobby, they're in just this area that, they got these blinders on. They can't see, they can't focus, and they haven't connected with anyone, and they're searching for something, but they don't know what they're searching for. Maybe it's just the sanctuary or the main room. They don't know, but they're lost at this point, even though they don't realize they're lost, and even though you think the process is clear, it is not clear to somebody visiting your church. There's no reason for it to be clear for them because they've never been here before. So this second stage, what do? 1, they stop everyone who's a visitor or everyone they don't recognize and introduce themselves. Hey, I'm Gregg. Nice to meet you. Have you been here before? It's okay to ask that question. Oh no, we've never been here before. And you kind of get a gauge on where this person's at, whether they want to interact with you a little bit more or not. But it's okay. You're going to almost bypass if they feel like they don't want to engage. What you're going to do next is kind of follow that conversation. Start to ask questions about them. They don't care much about answering a lot of questions, and they don't care for you to tell them all about yourself and your church yet. because they're not connected to you yet. So help them connect. The number one thing that somebody will do to connect is they want to talk about themselves and their needs. So good follow-up questions here is, hey, what brings you out today? You're going to learn a lot. Hey, we're looking for a new church. Hey, I have a family and we thought it was time to go to church again. Hey, we just moved to the area and we're looking for a church. There's lots of little nuances here that can be talked about, but you let them talk and you listen. And also when you introduced yourself, you listened for their names and you're working hard to retain what their names are. You will continue to use their names. When you use a person's name, you connect much deeper with them and you help them feel noticed. Now, the next thing you do is also critical. You don't just point them in the right direction. You didn't even ask them really what they want to do next. What you're going to do next is you are going to walk with them to the next phase. Now, in most churches, I suggest this next phase is coffee. Hey, would you like a cup of coffee? Oh, you don't like coffee? That's okay. Would you like tea or water or something else? And you bring them over to the coffee beverage area and help them get their first cup of coffee. You also now introduce them to the people serving the coffee. This is another person or a couple of people that they are having a small connection with. And hopefully that person connects back. Now what's next? Now you've heard a few things from them. You heard their names and you heard a little bit about who they are and why they are there. Hopefully while you were walking there, you asked them a few more questions about themselves. Now you're looking for somebody who they may be able to connect with on a closer basis. Maybe you heard something about a career or an area where they live. So you got their coffee form. Now you're going to try and connect them with somebody who may have some kind of affinity with them. Hey, Bob, I would like to introduce you to John. John's also in the Air Force. And now you've handed them off to John. Now, hopefully they can connect because there's an affinity. Let them talk. Now, you didn't just drop them. You handed them to the next person who they should and hopefully have some kind of affinity with. Now, you're going to kind of go back to your station, but you don't want to go too far away. You want to maintain a visual on what's happening next. If you see all of a sudden that conversation has ended and they're wandering again, you're going to go pick them back up. Hey, I'd like to introduce you to, and introduce them to somebody else. This next person who you're introducing them to, it's not really important that you introduce them to a pastor or a church leader. It's important that you connect them to an affinity of some sort, because this will give them a better connection. Ultimately, they're going to make their way into the sanctuary. After the service, you are going to try and reconnect or point them out to somebody else to connect with them. This will help them mesh and connect with others in your church. This is so critical. If I can't connect, or if your visitors can't connect with your church and your people, they can't stick. It doesn't matter how solid your teaching is or how great your church is for them. What a great fit it'll be if they stay. They need to connect in order to stay. So make sure you are connecting people. And if you connect people, as soon as they show up as visitors, you are going to also help close that revolving door. Visitors come, but don't stay, and you don't know why. They're probably not staying because they're not connecting. So you are going to help them connect. So some critical positions to always have in place at your church are front door greeters. They're going to greet everyone. Then the next stage, just past the front doors, I call it second stage. You're going to have people, these are interceptors. They're going to intercept every visitor who comes in and walk them through the process. The next thing that's important to have are coffee servers or beverage servers. That's critical. Now, it's important for others in your church to know how to engage and connect. One thing that you do want to watch out for is that person who wants to talk to everybody but has no self-awareness, who will engage new people and hold them hostage. You don't want to make a scene out of this, but you also want to be able to walk into that conversation and say, hey, John, it was great that you met Fred. Now, I'd like to introduce you to somebody else. Fred, is that okay with you? And you're going to pull them out of that particular conversation when you see it happen. It's okay. It's not that Fred's a bad person, but Fred will dominate and control all the time and never let the person really connect. So your key positions here, once again, it's important that you have these. Front door greeters, stage 2 greeters, which are interceptors, some kind of coffee serving position. And then you also do want to have a few people just floating around to connect with the new people and who you can grab quickly to try and create affinities with. I hope this helps you. Click that subscribe button and make a comment below as well. Comment below what you're doing or how you might implement some of these useful tools to help you connect better with people coming to your church. I look forward to helping you connect better and serve better. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day.